I stand at the grand arched entrance of the Gilded Lily, my fingers tracing the smooth grain of my leather briefcase. Through the filtered glow of Swarovski chandeliers, I see them. A portrait of unearned luxury. They are laughing, clinking crystal flutes of vintage Bollinger. Already deep into a celebration I wasn't invited to until the bill was projected to exceed their credit limits. My stepbrother, Mark, catches my eye, but he doesn't rise. He simply adjusts his silk tie with the practiced arrogance of a man who inherited a kingdom he's currently burning to the ground. The CEO finally graces us with her presence, he calls out, his voice cutting through the soft hum of the string quartet. I approach the table, my heels clicking a steady rhythmic beat against the white marble. It's a sound of discipline, of 18-hour days and hard-won contracts. A sharp contrast to the soft, lazy posture of the people sitting before me. I stop at the edge of the table and realize the first move has already been made. There are 4 of them, but only 3 chairs. Sorry, Elena. Mark's wife, Claire, chirps, her smile as sharp and synthetic as her designer gown. We figured a workaholic like you would prefer to stand. Or maybe just grab a stool from the bar. This table is strictly for family tonight. I feel the weight of the waiter's awkward glance, but I don't flinch. I simply pull a stray chair from the neighboring station, the legs scraping against the floor like a warning shot. I've spent my life being the plus one in this family's narrative, the girl they ignored until they needed a bridge to cross. Tonight, however, I'm not here to build bridges. I'm here to watch them collapse. The waiter arrives, gliding through the air like a shadow, and the theater begins. Mark doesn't even look at the menu. He speaks with the rehearsed nonchalance of a man spending someone else's future. We'll start with the beluga caviar, he announces, his thumb stroking the dial of his gold watch, a $15,000 masterpiece that I know, from a single glance at the misaligned subdials, is a high-grade replica. And for the mains, 3 Wagyu ribeyes. Rare. Oh, and the 2015 Bordeaux. Claire leans in, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the overhead light, creating tiny dancing reflections on the tablecloth. You should try the truffle risotto, Elena, she purrs, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. It's probably more your speed. A bit earthy. Like that little tech startup of yours. She shares a knowing smirk with Mark. To them, my success is a hobby, a cute distraction while they handle the real family legacy. The one they've quietly bled dry through offshore accounts and bad real estate bets. I take a slow sip of my sparkling water, the bubbles sharp against my tongue. I watch the way Mark's leg bounces under the table. A nervous tick he thinks his tailored trousers can hide. They aren't celebrating a windfall. They are performing a funeral for their own finances, and they expect me to provide the eulogy in the form of a signed check. Every laugh is too loud. Every boast about their upcoming Street Bart's expansion too frantic. They aren't inviting me into their world. They are trying to lure me into the wreckage before the sirens start. I remain a stone in the stream, watching the water churn, waiting for the moment the current finally breaks. The main course arrives, a parade of silver domes and the heavy, earthy scent of truffle that feels suffocating in the small space between us. Mark cuts into his Wagyu with a triumphant flair, the red center of the meat glistening under the chandelier's gold. You know, Elena, he starts, his voice dropping into that familiar, condescending baritone he uses when he's about to ask for a favor. Family is the only thing that matters in the end. Empires rise and fall, but blood is the constant. I watch him through the steam of my coffee, my face a mask of polite indifference. He's leaning in now, his elbows on the table, a breach of the very etiquette he claims to champion. We've had a bit of a technical glitch with the firm's liquid assets this quarter, he says, waving a hand dismissively as if millions of dollars were just a rounding error. Nothing serious. But since you're the big CEO now, we figured you'd want to step up. Treat the family to a real celebration for once. Show us that all those late nights actually bought you a seat at this table. The waiter approaches, sensing the climax of the evening. With a practiced motion, he places the leather-bound folder directly in front of me. It lands with a soft final thud. $2,200. The silence that follows is absolute, heavy with the weight of their entitlement. Claire is watching me, her eyes darting toward my designer purse, her smile brittle and hungry. They aren't waiting for a thank you. They are waiting for the click of my pen, confident that my desire for their approval is stronger than my sense of self-worth. They believe they've trapped me in the cage of loyalty. Unaware that I've already picked the lock, I pick up the leather-bound folder, the weight of it feeling like a heavy final anchor. I open it slowly, my eyes scanning the list of excess. The caviar, the vintage Bordeaux, the Wagyu they barely touched between their insults. $2,200. A month of rent for my first office, now just a Tuesday night trophy for people who have forgotten the value of a dollar they didn't inherit. Mark leans back, his smirk deepening, his hand already reaching for his coat as if the transaction is a foregone conclusion. Thanks for the treat, sis. He says, the sis sounding more like a transaction than a term of endearment. It's good to see that little company of yours finally paying off for the people who matter. I don't reach for my gold card. Instead, I pull a crisp, single $20 bill from my purse and lay it gently atop the check. The silence that follows is sudden and absolute, the air in the restaurant turning brittle. What is this? Claire hisses, her face contorting. The mask of the refined socialite finally cracking. This covers my garden salad and the mineral water. I say, my voice a calm, steady blade in the quiet room. The rest, the $2,180 of ego and entitlement, belongs to the people who ordered it. Mark's face flushes a dangerous mottled red. You can't be serious. We're family. Family doesn't plot for 3 weeks to trap a sister into paying for a lifestyle they can no longer afford. I reply, leaning in just enough so only they can hear. I know about the bankruptcy filing, Mark. I know the firm is empty. You didn't invite me to dinner. You invited my bank account. I stand up, smoothing my blazer. I'm not your ATM, and I'm certainly not your victim. Enjoy the check. The heavy glass doors of the Gilded Lily swing shut behind me. The muffled sound of Mark's escalating argument with the maitre d' fading into the crisp night air. I stand on the sidewalk for a moment, drawing in a breath that finally feels untainted by the scent of expensive desperation. Behind those doors, the golden child is discovering that a $15,000 replica watch won't pay a $2,200 bill, and family loyalty isn't a currency accepted by a restaurant manager with a radio and a stern expression. I walk toward my car, my heels clicking against the asphalt, a steady, solitary rhythm that no longer feels lonely. For years, I chased a seat at their table, thinking my success would eventually buy me their respect. Tonight, I realize that respect isn't something you can purchase for people who only see you as a life raft for their sinking egos. I didn't just leave a bill back there. I left a version of myself that was desperate for the approval of people who didn't even like me. My phone buzzes. A text from my lead developer. Singapore contract just signed. We did it, Elena. I smile, a genuine, quiet warmth spreading through me. These are the people who saw my potential when I was eating ramen in a studio apartment, who celebrated my victories without asking for a cut. As I pull away from the curb, I catch a final glimpse of Mark and Claire through the window, their faces pale under the harsh light of reality. They said the table was for family. They were right, and I've finally started building one where I actually belong. One boundary at a time.